evening event. So I'm Councillor Marcus Hart. I'm the Deputy Leader of Worcester County Council. I have the responsibility for communities in my portfolio, which includes all 21 libraries across Worcestershire in all their shapes and sizes. So why are we here today, and why am I here? Because I and the County Council and the County Council Cabinet, who ultimately will have to make a decision later this year in May or June, are in listening mode. We have a statutory duty as the County Council, as a result of the 1964 Public Libraries and Museums Act, which is still good law, to provide what's called a comprehensive and efficient library service. Some time ago, we were approached by our colleagues at Redditch Borough Council to consider whether we would acquiesce to a relocation from this site to another site, obviously just down the road in their Borough Council offices. And so back in October, on the 27th of October last year, I proposed a report before the County Council's Cabinet, which was unanimously supported to kick-start a consultation, a formal public consultation, which follows a statutory process, and the consultation will conclude towards the end of this month, the 24th of February, at which time we will collate all of the many, no doubt hundreds of responses that we will get, and the feedback from this event and the previous event, and indeed all other feedback, to consider the relocation proposals. And I know that when I came on the 24th of January, there were lots of questions about the sort of economic regeneration of the borough and why the borough didn't want the library to be here. Those really, and we've got colleagues from the borough, and my County Council colleague Emma Marshall is to my right, who also sits on the borough in the Cabinet. So last time we had the leader of the Borough Council, Matt Dormer, with us, and he was able to pick up those comments, because of course my role as the on behalf of the County Council is to follow a formal consultation process. The regeneration aspirations and ambitions are really questions that are for the borough, and we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that the borough have been very successful in their historic investment of, I think the best part is £16 million from the town's deal to regenerate this area and indeed the railway station as well. So the proposals, which are clearly in the public domain, propose that we relocate from this building to the Borough Council, which also would encompass Job Centre Plus, health and other partners as well, and the borough see that as a one-stop shop and an increased offer, and certainly there wouldn't be any diminution in footprint in our ability to provide all of the services that we do here replicated down the road, and certainly that would be key for me and my Cabinet colleagues as decision makers, because we want everybody in Redditch and the wider community to have as good as, if not better facility replicated, because we don't want any diminution in what is one of our largest libraries across the county, and with some 9,000 users. It's really important that if we are relocating our library, that the quality of provision is replicated on another footprint. And the proposal would be, because we own the freehold title to this building and land, is to...
You can have my seat to
So there would be a long lease-back arrangement on both parcels of land. So that's really high level, and really interested to hear your views, and we'll do our very best to answer any questions that your people have got to pose to us in due course. Carol.
Thank you, Marcus. So the focus of our consultation and this session is to understand to get your feedback, your thoughts, suggestions about the relocation of the library. So we're particularly interested to know whether you agree with the move or don't agree with the move, why you agree and disagree, what if anything would prevent you from using the library if it moved, And if you have any suggestions at all about other services that you'd like to see from the library, then we'd love to hear those as well. Your feedback will all be captured by my colleagues here, and that will, of course, feed into the consultation, or into all the consultation feedback that we've so far received. It's a 1-hour session, and we want as many people as possible to have their say. So we'd ask that you put your hand up if you want to speak. My colleague here will manage sort of like who's speaking when, based on hands that are shown. We'd ask that just one person speaks at a time, so that everyone has an opportunity to be heard. It would be quite interesting to just see at this point a show of hands as to how many of you are members of the library and regular users of the library. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. So,
okay, so if you'd like to ask a question, put your hands up please, and then I will manage person by person. So you go first.
Hello. Hi, could I just ask for clarification? You said you don't want to have any sort of diminution of the library and the library services. In the consultation document, it looks like the square footage will actually increase slightly if it's moved to the town hall. Are you aware that there are lots of things missing from that square footage plan? For example, there's no space given to computer space, which is a massive service here that's used really frequently at the library. You've got no space, it's got a 0 for business space at the current site, and we've all just walked up the stairs past lots of it. There's no study space allocated in the new plan. So it's made to look like we're getting more and better, but actually it looks to me like we're moving to smaller space and moving out because of it.
okay, let me answer that one. As the library service, it's my overriding concern to ensure that any move that goes ahead and any change that happens in the library service does not adversely affect the offer of service offer. So we have, at this point in proceedings, we have worked with an external firm of architects and design people to, and we've audited all of our furniture and all of our space as well, because I think it's important that a library isn't just about bookshelves and tables and so all that stuff that you mentioned. It's also that space that we can create so that we can continue with all of the services that Michelle, wherever she is, if she's here, has developed here and that involves the community. So we're having got to this point, we wouldn't have got to this point if we weren't satisfied that all of the furniture that we've got, all of the computers, all of the study desks, all of the comfortable seating, all of the shelving, and could be fitted into the new space, and that there was flexibility to create spaces within the library where all of the current activities take place as well. So I'm not sure quite what you've seen, but I can reassure you that we have done an initial piece of work to prove that each item of furniture that we've got and each space that we've got can be accommodated into that space.
I've only seen the evidence that you've provided, which it does agree with what you're saying, but it does it by leaving out aspects and putting zeros and things aren't zeros.
Yes, that's not an indication that we haven't done the work to kind of prove that all of what we have here can fit into the space there.
Okay.
With the absence of, with the exception of the our storage space in the basement, which is smaller.
I'm sure somebody else mentioned the outside.
The lady at the back there.
Thank you. I just wondered if you could explain to us what the advantages are to the library service and the quality of the service that's going to be provided if the service is moved down there, because at the moment it looks as though you are complicit with the council's desire to redevelop the town. That doesn't give us advantages as library users, does it?
I can really just repeat what I've said, that as a head of the library service, my concern is to make sure that we are not losing anything. As part of this consultation, we're kind of asking, so we're looking at replicating what we have in the new building, but every time that, and we've relocated many of our libraries, our small libraries, our medium-sized libraries, and our large libraries. And in each instance, we take the opportunity to find out, through consultation, what other services residents would like to see. So, the value of library services is about meeting the needs of the local community, and therefore we really need your input to know exactly in what ways you'd like to see improvements or you'd like to see changes, and that's why that's a genuinely important part.
Sorry to interrupt, I think that's actually my point, because the benefit of doing this needs to add value to what already exists, not just replicate what is already there, because it's going to cost an awful lot of money. So, what value is that money going to add to the services that we already have? That's the question that I've got, and I don't think you're able to answer it.
If I can add to that, we are creating a community hub, so there will be more services in there. There will be NHS services, there will be other services that people can access from one place.
So those services could take place in that town or anyway without the library being there.
Yeah!
So I have worked with people who often, and I've helped them, I've taken them to the town hall and they've said, oh, you need to get that, but you need to go up to the library. So then we've walked up to the library, we've got those services here, then we'll walk back down to the town hall. So I've seen, and I've done it myself with people I've helped, people who need both places. Actually, that's going to help them. They haven't got to go backwards and forwards because they're in that same place. So in our view, when we have helped those very vulnerable people, we are going to be helping them further.
That's a failing of the council, because they've closed down the services that they previously provided, such as the frontline services.
But sometimes you just want to answer that question.
Yeah.
It's about the consultation period. At the end of the consultation period, will all the actual feedback responses be actually published, or will a summary constructed by the county council just be available?
Shall I dig in there? Subject, of course, to GDPR and data protection and all of those.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you wouldn't want us to break the law, would you? You really wouldn't want us to do that.
We want the truth.
And
we want the truth.
Somebody wouldn't want us to breach their data, would they? And to give their specific name. But
Well,
hang on, sir, I didn't interrupt you, so please do afford me the courtesy. You're absolutely right. So subject to those things and names not being published, if we, let's say, get 2,102, that's the first number that came to my head, responses, there will be a comprehensive document, okay, that will go to the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, and I think they've committed to having a further Overview and Scrutiny Committee meeting back in Redditch, which will then go to the Cabinet. So the documents that will be in Cabinet will be fully in the public domain and they will be fully transparent. So I would anticipate that the consultation document that I receive and my colleagues receive and the Scrutiny Committee receive will be very, very thorough. So as much as possible, if not all, subject to names and subject to GDPR, will be put in the public domain, and that is the right thing to do because it's a statutory consultation and we have to follow a statutory process and we've got to get it right.
So you say not all?
No, well, I'm saying everything that we can... Well, I'm not saying that, so let me correct that for the record. I'm saying subject to anything that has to be redacted legally, everything will be in the public domain. I don't think I can be any clearer than that.
Thank you. The gentleman back.
Yeah, just you said about consulting other libraries that were going to be moved, the public, about libraries that were going to be moved.
Sorry, I'm saying in the past we have...
Yeah, so any of those libraries have not moved where the people have not wanted them to move.
I don't have the...
Oh, you must know, you're
the head of it.
You're the head of it.
Well, yeah, but I
That's your job.
don't have the figures for the other public consultations.
Oh,
She doesn't do anything.
But I mean, it's something that's a question. My colleagues will take that as a question and we can get back to you with the answers to that question.
And also, we've got, this building belongs to yourselves. Why have, well, it belongs to us. Why have we got scaffolding up there from last June to make it look bad?
Exactly.
It's been there June and there's not a thing happened.
And the lift.
I think this question was raised at the previous
What did you do?
previous meeting.
So there's different routines.
My understanding is that there are problems with the concrete in the construction of this building.
It's just June.
So, well,
It's
yes,
February now.
I'm unfortunately, can't explain why the work hasn't been carried out yet.
Well, is this a
I
standard?
think investigations have taken place.
Yeah, what I can say, and you're right, sir, it's a different meeting, and I'll try and repeat the response that Hannah Perrott, our Assistant Director, gave. Let me assure you and everybody else in this room, it hasn't been erected to make this building look bad.
Looks like it.
Okay? Well, let me correct that. Absolutely, unequivocally, that's not true. There's a problem with some concrete on the roof. I asked Hannah, our Assistant Director, who can't be here today, and there have been delays, and I have asked that the work is completed as soon as possible, and it is work to do with the concrete, and that's absolutely genuine. It has taken much longer than expected, and as soon as it's completed, I'm assured the scaffolding will be
convenient, must say.
Very convenient. Well, actually, it's very inconvenient because who wants scaffolding up there when you don't
for it?
Yeah.
We're paying. How much does that cost?
Okay, can we let this lady speak now?
I've just got a few questions that
Stand up.
If the services were down at the council house and it was an inconvenient to walk to and from, could they not be used in that space where the job centre was previously? So rather than move everything to the council house, can't those services, like the NHS, be brought here and utilise this space already?
When NHS take quite a large section of the town hall, there would not be enough room here. It would take up at least a whole floor, probably 2 floors. It's taking up a huge. I mean, the work's ongoing at the moment in the town hall for the NHS going in. It's extensive work.
And then, sorry, I'm probably a bit late to the party, but what's happening to this building then? So this will not be a library anymore, and it will be a
Demolished.
It's in the way.
Is someone from Redditch?
It's on staff here. Do you want, or do you want to take it away?
No,
So the leader is actually here.
Oh,
yeah, I'm happy to come through. Go on then.
So I think the question was what will happen to this building if the library relocates to the town hall?
be demolished, then what are we replicating? What's the idea for this space then?
So the idea for the space is an open plaza, somewhere that we can have events, somewhere that will invite people outside. Like you said in previously, this is about improving the flow of people around the town. We have so many people going to the Kingfisher that don't come outside, and so the football doesn't spread around the town. So it's about improving that. There will be a plaza, like I say, it will be
like Bromsgrove, like outside.
yes.
Can I just, like, if things are going to change,
Yeah.
I would like to have a positive impact, and rather than
Absolutely.
why not like a botanical garden where people can come and use the space? But no, seriously, like why not a beautiful space
So
where people can use it and like okay, I'm not happy about the library closing, but sadly I feel like
it's moving, it's not closing now.
okay,
That sounds like a foregone conclusion, doesn't it?
If you like utilise the outside space and make it really like
Can we just let this lady speak?
beautiful for people who have like youth centre services, because I'm afraid like where are the youth centre services in Redditch for young people really that there are children that can't eat at schools, like why isn't our money going into this? I understand like it will create jobs, it will make it a lot nicer, but we can focus on how we can incorporate not just for like people from Birmingham to come to Redditch for a day out and have a coffee.
No, it's for the people of Redditch to stay in Redditch and spend their money in Redditch instead of going to Birmingham and everywhere else. Because
Bring back the market.
It needs to be a vibrant, like I think a garden would be a place for young people to be. I think it needs to be really.
Yeah, we'll capture that. Thank you. Right, on to this gentleman here.
Thank you. We've just been told that the library service will be replicated at the town hall, and you've been unable to give any actual benefits to library users. Redditch Council has told us that the new library will be bigger, better, more sustainable, and more fit for the future. So obviously that is not true. Do you think that will have a detrimental impact on the consultation process?
Sorry, what will happen to the
The fact that Redditch Council are saying that the new library will be better and bigger and more sustainable and more fit for the future.
Well, I think we've been quite transparent about what is, at this point, sort of like high level, very indicative plans of what would happen if the library were to relocate to the town hall, and that every time that within the library service we make a move, we take, as I said earlier, we take the opportunity to enhance the space and to improve our services in collaboration with the local community, which Michelle, who's out there, will be doing with the local community. So, from my perspective, I'm not seeing how that compromises the consultation. I don't know whether from...
Is that, like, even MP has said new library will be better, so someone might have filled in consultation thinking they're getting a better library, but they're not.
So the officers from the county are saying that it will be an equal offer.
That's not better, though, is it?
That's not better.
If the Borough Council are saying it will be a better offer, the minimum requirement for the officer for the consultation is it has to be equal or better. Okay?
Yeah,
so nobody's lying at all.
No, but this one, there's been this big message of Redditch and Worcester, and they haven't been demarcated enough in the consultation process. So we've had Redditch Council making claims, which will have had an impact on consultation. But actually, when we ask Worcester Council, we find those claims aren't true.
So the plans are to have a bigger section in the plans that you've seen published. Bigger section for the children's area, a business area. 2 out of the 3 meeting rooms will be bigger.
But they will be shared. They won't be library meeting rooms. They're shared, and the library has access to them.
There's 3 meeting rooms for library use. Of course, they'll be able to get other people to use it, but that means they'll be used more often than they are at the moment. So
On that, then I've been told they will be shared meeting rooms.
The requirement that we have is, because we have a very rich library offer here, certainly for community groups and for community meetings, that we have priority use of the meeting rooms, and we manage access to the meeting rooms, and therefore we do not have complete 100% occupancy of the meeting rooms here, and we would be unlikely to do the same in any new location. So we would have priority access to those meeting rooms to make sure that we can run our service offer and develop our service offer. And then any spare capacity we would then be available to partners or to other organisations.
Sorry, can I just chip in there on Emma's point? You were saying the children's library will be big. I know the fiction section is also bigger on the plans as well by square footage. This is why I started with the question that I did, is that square footage isn't taking into account current study spaces, current computer spaces. All of those are going to fit in somewhere. As you've said, you've taken account, and they will all fit in somewhere. So yes, the number is bigger. It will be a bigger children's library, but you have to cram your study spaces in there. You have to fit your computer spaces because you haven't allocated space on the plan. So the plans, yes, I agree, make it look like we're getting more, but actually, if we're going to take, I mean, look with your eyes, the space in the town hall is smaller than this building. It's going to have to squish in. Do you see where I'm coming from?
I absolutely don't agree. The space being allocated 11 square metres bigger.
11 whole square metres.
11 whole square metres. That's still bigger.
Excuse me, but it isn't though, because I'm talking about your plans. The only data I have is the data you've provided. So there's no element here where I can portray it differently than it is. Your plans have not allocated space for well-used spaces here. Your computer spaces in this library are used regularly, and I come here almost every day. I'm on maternity leave, as I'm sure you can see. Your study spaces are well used, especially for groups. The Dungeons and Dragons group use it. The Jigsaw Puzzle group come and use these study spaces. They're used really well, and you have allocated no space for them. So they're going to have to go somewhere, and they're going to have to go onto your fiction floor, or into your children's library floor, where you're saying it's a bigger space, but it cannot be.
Can I just make the point that the work that's been done so far has kind of is a high-level exercise to understand whether there is sufficient space in the proposed area in the new town hall to accommodate all of the furniture. All of the furniture, fittings, and study spaces, and computer desks. We've done an audit of all of our furniture, and that is the case. And that can be done. There are no detailed plans at this point in terms of what goes where.
I understand
and so
what you're
we've
saying. I understand.
Well, this is the, it is our consultation.
We need to move them.
Can I just clarify this final point? I understand what you're saying. There is space for everything to fit in. I understand that completely. But please don't come in and say that more bigger space is being allocated. That isn't it. You've just taken things out of the numbers to say the numbers work.
This is back to my original point.
Hold on a second. We'll absolutely take all of, we'll absolutely record all of that feedback, and it will be considered. Thank you.
Can I just say that I think an awful lot of people in this town really don't want the library to be not there. And I think that the money could be spent on making make the area more accessible for people by getting the shops done, so that we've got more shops of a variety that people can come and visit. I mean, that pub next door, that's a disgrace to look at. Who wants to sit outside and look at that?
I couldn't agree more with some of your points. However,
another cafe stuck outside,
the money
won't come in the winter.
The money is set to where it has to be spent. That's it. We cannot deviate.
No, you can send it back.
No.
Send it back.
We have to fulfil. We cannot do it.
Acceptable for people. You want to make it that they can come and see different shops, not photoshops, not cafes all over the place, but somewhere they can go. Even that charity shop that's closed up the road, the Heart Shop, could be made into a nice little supermarket.
It could be right. We don't own it. It's down to the owners. They can do what they want with their buildings. But that's where the money has to be spent.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Not true.
Which one of us knows?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm concerned that the move from point A to point B of the library. I know you're saying that the services are going to be bigger and better and we're going to have more than what we have now. But I'm worried that the process of that move will allow the opportunity to kind of remove as many of those services as possible, which I have a concern of because the Conservative Party has a tendency to do those sorts of things.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Can I respond to that?
Well, sorry, really helpful. For what you said, madam, it's really helpful. Can you just expand what services the library currently provides that you think might be removed as part of this process? Because I can say no, and of course got to have due regard for consultation. It's not neither mine nor the County Council's plans to remove any services that are provided in this building from the new building. So if you're concerned about any, it'd be helpful to hear those now so that they can be fed into consultation and responded to.
Anything and everything really, just more so what you, in the move, the things that you feel, maybe we could cut a corner here, and I know you stood up there and saying, that's absolutely not what we're going to do, but I mean, look what happened during COVID. Corners were cut constantly and we lost out on a lot of things. It's just that your actions don't tend to line up with your words.
I can reassure you from a library service perspective that it is our responsibility as much as it is the County Council statutory responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen, and that is what I am absolutely committed to making sure doesn't happen. So you'll have to trust me.
Yeah, going on from what this young lady said at the front here, to improve the services around the town centre, wouldn't it be better to spend the money on repairing this building instead of knocking it down, repairing what you said was wrong with the concrete? And going back to 20 years ago, we had a brilliant marketplace in the town centre where people would come to. My parents used to live in Evesham, for instance, would come and spend a day in Redditch and partly go around the marketplace and what have you. I would spend an hour in the town centre. It's an absolute disgrace. And going down again from what this lady said here, you can keep this building as it is, repair it, and not have people walking down that are disabled as well, coming in from the bus station, which my neighbour does, which is quite easily to come here and not walk all the way down to the town centre and back again, because you can't do it.
So we don't own as far as a vibrant market is concerned, I couldn't agree more. 20 years ago the market was out there, but it got sold. by a party, and Debenhams have built on it. That's that. We can't turn back time.
What about the outside market?
Sorry?
Outside market.
They're happy inside. They're making twice the amount of money they were outside.
No, they're not. No, they're not. We've got less markets now.
That's why they've just fought tooth and nail to keep the unit they're in.
No, we've got less markets now.
So the money, as far as the money's concerned, like I said, it has to be spent on the outcomes that were specified within the government bid. That is this area delivering the outcomes that were in the bid. That does involve the demolition.
Why not repair the building?
Because then you don't achieve the outcomes. You need the open space and the improvement of flow. You can't do that.
Rubbish!
We're going to go out there in the winter when it's in that open space.
Just same for the market.
Okay, next question, please.
It's all right to move it down there. There's a lot of older people with kids who want to get to the library.
Yeah.
Now, it's all right when it's nice, but it's pouring rain. It's as easy access for them to come to, rather than traipsing down there. Are you going to build a covered walkway? Right. Yeah, actually, if you spent the money, you could change access from the front where it is now to the side, so you can have access on the flat. So they're coming on a flat surface, and they haven't got any steps to manage.
Okay. So as far as the covered access is concerned, you can go out from Debenhams, you can go into the covered market, you can go down Fountain Passage, and you're in the town hall. So that's a whole covered area. That means you don't have to go back. But I understand what you're saying with disabled access and things like that. There will be disabled parking at the rear of the town hall that is now, or the front, whichever way around it is. So that will improve for people, because at the moment you can't park around here at all. So that'll be a lot better. And for every person that has to walk a bit further, don't forget it's a lot closer for an amount of people as well.
Who wants more coffee shops in Redditch?
Yeah, there's too many coffee shops in Redditch. We don't need any more.
There's 8 of them in the town centre. Who wants more of them?
And then, oh, my arms are killing now. Can I get that?
Go, come forward.
What's the money it's going to cost you to change the town hall, which I believe has all been published? I believe it's 4.2 million to demolish this building.
Correct, that's
So
good money.
why can't that be saved?
That's our money.
Just listen.
I'm
By
listening.
improving the building, like you say, it needs something doing to it, and then either side of the library, there are spaces, the space that goes up past the post office, the space that goes up past the awful pub on the side, and that could incorporate into your wonderful youth plaza and not move the library.
Unfortunately, to have a plaza, this, you're talking about an alleyway between the pub, the library and the pub, and another alleyway the other side. So
it's not alleyway, is it, between the post office and the library?
it's a wide alleyway, isn't it?
No. It's a square. It's a plaza. It's a plaza.
Yeah.
Which you could also incorporate.
Which we are using.
I understand the money that's being wasted in demolishing this and improving that when we don't want to.
So,
yeah.
The money was put in by the council. A board, and we were successful, and a board was set up. The board dictated the projects. Okay, the town's deal board. The council is the delivery arm. So we are responsible for the money, and we're responsible for delivering what the town's deal board have said.
You sit on both,
This was
don't
the
you?
project they chose.
Yes, he does. Yeah. He does.
You sit on both, though, don't you?
On what?
You're in the town board and you're the leader of the council.
I'm appointed by the council
Yeah,
to
you're a
sit on the
director.
board.
Yeah, but don't
You're a
you get
director
weekly
on
about
it.
it? You're on both.
Yeah. Feeds this.
Citizens' views. About library services, can you clarify what you mean by that? Does that include all of the events that happen within the library? And those will still continue?
Yeah, absolutely. Redditch Library is one of our...
They also have a lot of different events on at the same time. Is there enough space at the new library? So perhaps here they'll have story time on the first floor and another club going on the
I think there's about
We believe that there is, and that's the work, that's the initial work that we've done with the architectural design people that have worked with this to plan together. Redditch Library is one of our sort of like flagship libraries in terms of its offer to the community. It, you know, we have post-COVID the sort of like the recovery of the events and activities in Redditch Library is nearly 97% now of all of the event activity that we had before the pandemic. So there is a lot of demand for these services and there is a lot of provision. And we are extremely proud of all the work that the local team does here to engage with the community and make
They're incredible.
So it is absolutely
waste of time.
my responsibility along with my colleagues and leaders of the council, the town council, to make sure that that is not in any way diminished and that we continue to offer a rich and to grow and to have the capacity to grow, because we certainly have the capacity and time to grow more services.
So is the proposed library over more than one floor?
Yes, yes, the proposed library is over the ground floor and the first floor and the basement. And storage in the basement, you're absolutely right, storage in the basement, yeah. So
you can guarantee none of those services?
Yes, I can guarantee that. We won't do that, there has to be a reduction.
So we're having 4 million from the government to do this, but we're having to sell a community centre down here more road.
Absolutely. All those people have got nowhere.
Centres across the whole of the town. They're going, they're disappearing one way or another. We're having to sell some green belt land as well to move this property. Hughes has now closed its premises. Waterstone, the pub on the corner is going to close as well. We're landing up, we've got no market. The traders do want to come back, I've heard constantly. They were killed off because they were put back here. All I see is a town that has gone backwards. I live on Bromsgrove Road, I'm seeing brand new flats put up. There is no, where's this magic new train station going to be done? Because most of the land now has got new properties built on apartments. So I'm hearing all these wonderful things about this town, but all I'm seeing is a lot of things closing and we're losing less enough. And also, our local MP has signed us up to be a smart town. Nobody knows what that is, but you need to look at Oxford, Cambridge, Bristol, Edinburgh. There's 6 at the moment, cities. They're going to be put into quadrant squares. You won't be able to go more than 100 times outside your town. We're having a 5G hub. We're all looking at this library going to be moved. No one's telling us about this 5G hub and the consequences and our town being split up into quadrants. If you've got 3 cars in your house, you will only be able to travel outside your area 100 times between them 3 in a year, or you'll have to get permission. It sounds completely ludicrous. It's on the government website. Sit large. This is all part of it.
I'm sorry, we don't have much time left. I mean, this meeting's not a public consultation.
But we're spending money on things that are happening. We're not redressing all the things that the government have put in place, and they're not telling us.
We need to focus this on what we're here to discuss. Thank you.
Excuse me, miss, I'm glad you called it on the bit about time. None of these questions are going to be, none of these, and I'm not going to be silent. I don't live in a Nazi dictatorship. None of these people like the last meeting are going to be able to ask their questions. Take a good look round you. You're going to hear that you haven't come to the back of this room once. This is a done deal.
There's people at the back who I have asked questions of, and people keep putting their hands up and down. I'm managing the room as best I can.
Your arms hurt.
Hand up since the start. So
this lady has her hand up from the start. You haven't come near her once.
Jerry, it's okay.
My concern isn't so much about losing services, it's about combining services. And what I would say is that a couple of months ago I had to complain at Bromsgrove Library because I was looking for a book and there was a poor lady talking to her advisor in the middle of the library about her mental health issues and problems that she was having finding a job. Now, you keep talking about we're not losing any services. I appreciate we're not losing any services, possibly, but are we going to start combining the situations such as happening in Bromsgrove Library?
There are absolutely the situation you've described. I'm not quite sure whether there was a member of the public who was
It was a member of the public talking to an advisor.
Okay.
in the middle of the library after tables.
Well, you know, the libraries benefit from being safe and welcoming space.
Excuse me,
Safe.
is it possible just to raise your voice a little bit?
Yeah.
It's impossible to hear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Libraries are self-welcoming spaces, and we certainly don't want to put any barrier to people being able to come in and look for help or advice. Our role is usually to signpost people to more specialist advice, rather than become experts ourselves. There's no plans for us to become mental health
about it was a proper advisor talking about those sort of issues, which shouldn't have been happening in an open space.
We will always welcome people, and we will always signpost to other services, whether they're other wellbeing services, and we also deliver our own in that respect. So that's absolutely no mistake.
You're next, and then the lady.
Me with the woolly jumper. Right.
Yeah.
This library building measures 2,225 metres squared, plus stairs and lift. The new building comes to around about library space allocated 750 metres squared. You can't possibly fit this library in that space. You may not be, I don't know how long you've been in your job, the DWP did not used to be in this library. That was full of books. And I was munching my way happily through those books of biographies, and they've gone. We have got a bigger population in Redditch now. We need this space to expand our library back into. The DWP, I agree, can go to the council building, the town hall, because that is a hub surface that belongs with the other things in the town hall. The library has got nothing to do with county council services except that you provide the library. The library staff should not be acting as county council advisors. You need a hub in the town hall for county council services, yes, but not the library. The library is a separate thing. It's not part of a hub.
Yes.
Well said.
I've worked for the Library Service for about 16, 17 years. So I'm sort of very aware of our journey from becoming perhaps just books many years ago to being a lot more than that now. And that's very much a national government aim for libraries to contribute to a whole range of community outcomes, really. So that's part of that. So certainly in terms of the space that we're talking about, we have already mentioned it. The space that the library will occupy will be equivalent, if marginally larger.
It really isn't. I've been and measured both of them.
Thank you.
The corridors that they're putting in add to the space. It's still smaller. Those corridors that have got no books, no meeting space, because they're the fire exits, one end and the other end of the building. You can't put books down there. It'll be a fireball. So that space is an empty space of 120 metres squared, added into the area to make it come near this library space. It's not anywhere near the same size.
To the lady in the blue jacket.
That's me. Right, how many? Yeah. Oh, sorry. How many of us with hands up?
I did ask a question at the previous meeting, so I didn't want to say anything, but I just have to say that I do have some grave concerns about this consultation, because this is supposed to be an independent panel where the public gets to question Worcestershire County Council independently on the library plans, and we've got Councillor Dormer at the front who's shaking his head every time he opposes something that somebody says here, which is bias, isn't it? So this is not very independent. And also in the other meeting he did state that that it was touch and go as to whether this project would go ahead, and there certainly wasn't time to change it, which goes against the gunning principles by law that consultations have to abide by.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm a little annoyed that we've been discussing the potential plaza that is wanting to be put in place, when I was told at the last meeting we weren't allowed to discuss the plans for this area, and there's copies of them on the wall, because I'd love to comment on the fact that I don't want to bring my children shopping and take them home wet. Do you know what I mean? That's not something that's in my... I'd rather go to a specific place for that. But most important, at the last meeting and at the one that the county was at, I wanted to know where the feasibility study is for keeping the library where it is. That should form part of the decision-making process, and without it, it's an incomplete plan. And we've heard several times now about the correct comparison table that has not been made and should be, and when we've got those two things, the feasibility study and the proper plan comparison, that's not shared space, deciding whether something's being moved or not. Whether a chair is being moved, how many and when you can sit on it is important. If it's not available all the time, then it shouldn't form part of that decision. But anyway, when we've got those two things, can we then have another consultation to see if you can find 600 people even in the town that would agree to it? Because I don't think you could. I bet if we had a show of hands here, doesn't this count? This is the population, this is part of Redditch's community, an important part that uses the library, with a show of hands who wants to stay where it is. It's purpose-built. Yep. It's purpose-built. You're trying to move it into an adapted space. That is not the same. This is purpose-built. That would be adapted. It's not a fair comparison or good enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because that's what you wanted, didn't you?
Yeah. The feasibility study.
Yes. She's talking about feasibility study.
Yeah, I've typed it up so I can leave the question with you this time to be sure it's addressed.
I think everybody in this room would probably agree with me, but we don't believe what's coming out of our town hall. It's nothing but lies, but that's not my question. My question would be to you, like from Worcester, the Library people. What is Worcester County Council going to get out of the demolishing money-wise?
What are they going to get out of it? Sorry, what was to get out of it money-wise, did you say, sir?
Yeah. I mean, it's your building.
Yes.
He wants to demolish it. Obviously, there's a cut in it for you.
Well, there's no cut in it for me personally.
Not for you.
Perfectly clear for the public record. There's no cut in it, inverted commas, for Worcestershire County Council, and we are here on behalf of all of the residents across Worcestershire. What do we get out of it if indeed this proposal goes ahead? Because we're still in the consultation, and as I said, I'm in listening mode, so you won't hear any opinions either way from me, because I'm here to listen to all of your opinions. But what is our red line? Well, at the moment we own the building and we own the freehold. So our red line is that the facilities, and there's been several good questions asked about all of the activities. My red line and the officer's red line and all of the other politicians' red line will be that what is here is replicated at the town hall. And indeed, because we own the freehold, we would want to ensure that any transfer, any move, all costs are met by the Borough Council, either by them in conjunction with the £4+ million out of the Towns Fund, and that the revenue costs to run this building are no more than they are now, subject, of course, to the heating and lighting. And just on that, in terms of the running cost, and it's in the public domain in the Cabinet report that I took in October, of course, in terms of the DWP being here, they pay a rent to us, a substantial rent to us that allows this building, and indeed if the service moved to the town hall, which effectively subsidises the cost of the provision. So those are our red lines, that all of those things would continue, sir.
But you're just saying then that you're quite happy to give up this land and building for nothing.
Well, I don't think those words ever came out of my lips.
You're missing the
so,
point.
No. They most certainly didn't come out of my lips. So it'd be really helpful if you didn't misrepresent what I said.
Next question. Your hand at the bar, so you go next, and then you, and then the gentleman behind you after you.
I'll be brief. We've heard today some really concerning issues raised about the process, the consultation, and I think the strength of feeling here is apparent to anybody. So I think the council needs to take that on board and be aware that there will be a legal challenge if any aspect of the consultation or the process or the plans affect any disabled person. So, for example, we haven't seen an equality impact statement. I haven't seen that. And also in terms of financial probity, if it does not prove to be value for money and add value to this town, there will be cause for a legal challenge. It isn't what we want. And I think the last question to Matt Dormer, if I might ask a last question. You mentioned, Matt, that you think you say the library will have 11 square metres of extra space in the town hall. Have you calculated how much that is going to cost per square metre. The extra square metres that are going to be added to the library service. Have you calculated how much that's going to cost per square metre?
All I'm saying, the money is from the government, so the council are
still taxpayers. If it's government money,
it's our tax money.
I pay tax.
Okay.
We delivered according to the plan that you put together.
Oh, cool.
That is according to Redditch residents' wishes.
Most of the board are Redditch residents. In fact,
they don't represent our wishes.
They represent the wishes of the town.
Tory
party.
Who makes decisions? Certainly not us. Thank you. Not transparent.
We've got 10 minutes left. Yes.
To a lot of us, it sounds like this is the dormer plan of Redditch, nothing to do with it.
Yes, exactly.
The opinions of everybody in the town is that we don't want it. You're obviously going to go ahead with it, and so is Marcus, because he's already told me to go ahead.
No.
You're unbiased, so you're going to go ahead with it.
Sorry?
You're unbiased, you said.
Sorry?
You said you were unbiased.
Yeah, so...
So you can't have an opinion.
But what I'm saying is I haven't said that this is going to go ahead.
Oh, come on.
No way have I said that. This is a consultation. We can't predetermine a statutory process.
If I'm still alive in 5 years' time, I'll ask you the question again.
You'll be able to ask me in June.
If the majority of people in this town don't want it, are you going to accept their word?
If the majority of the population of this town don't want it, absolutely.
You will back off.
Majority of the population. Yes.
When you send your council tax reminders out, can you please put a vote question in there asking for people's opinion on it? Proper opinion, not just this. This isn't big enough. I don't know why you held it here and not at the town hall.
Should have done it.
Can I just say, we have a plaza and we have a coffee shop outside the town hall. The plaza's never used and the coffee shop's been closed for nearly a year. So why are you building what we've already got that nobody uses?
I'd hardly call the front of the town hall a plaza. And that's the
square of plaza is the
same. Do not go down there. That's why the coffee shops fail. Okay,
because
this is about improving closed. It's not about delivering more coffee shops. It's food and beverage. Food and beverage options in this town.
We've already got enough coffee shops in Redditch already.
Thank you. Right, the lady at the back with the glasses on your head. Yes.
Finally. Sorry, darling, you were in front of me. Yeah. Right. Can I ask how many floors are actually in the current town hall? Come on, somebody should know the answer. 5. Right. Emma said 2 of those were going to be taken over by the National Health for Mental Health. 2 floors. 3 floors. That's what she said. 3 floors for the library. And then you're bringing in all this community hub thing. Where are all they going then? Exactly where are they all fitting into this building?
The library and where it is 2 floors above the chamber, exactly in that area on the left-hand side as you walk into the town hall.
Right.
That's there, and in the basement for storage.
Right.
The right-hand side is what Emma's talking about. NHS, other services.
Right, okay. I was just trying to think how all of this is going to fit in this building with 3 floors.
The building is far bigger than you would imagine. Until you stand in there.
Well, why don't you sell it for flats then? Sell it for flats, apartments.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. That'll be more asset for you.
Yeah.
I'm just conscious we've got 5 minutes left, so
this lady's been ages.
And then the gentleman here afterwards.
Right. Can I just ask, how many complaints did you actually receive about knocking this building down?
Me personally.
Oh, no, not you.
Must any of you?
As part of the consultation, do you mean?
Anything.
Anything, yeah.
As part of the consultation, well, all of that.
You've only got to look on Facebook.
The consultation runs until the 24th of February.
Fair enough.
And after that time, we will then analyse all of the feedback, including.
I don't do computers or things. I have to do the Standard, the Advertiser. That's how I get mine. I picked up an Advertiser yesterday, right? That's how I knew about this meeting. Right. So, apart from that, like this gentleman said, we old people, there to here, there to there. Okay? It's a slope. So you walk down with your books, you walk up with your books. He's on about round the back. The steps, there's still a slope. I just can't understand why this place is being knocked down. Who's going to do the demolition? Who's going to hire the equipment?
I don't do demolition, and I don't hire people who do demolition. End of.
You have got equipment.
Yeah, skip
Don't hire
hire.
to them.
Skip hire.
People
Don't hire to them.
will
They
hire.
destroy it. I don't hire to them.
Skip hire.
You don't hire them.
To demolition companies, no.
What about building companies?
Yeah, what about building companies?
They're going to build something.
With the stream meeting from Worcester last year, I think there was a discussion about planning the consultation. I think somebody on the board, I think the gentleman there said, this is going to be a consultation. It might not affect the outcome of what they're going to do, because this isn't a referendum. Agreement. So that concerned me. I thought, well, it feels like it may be just going for the motions, because that's what the words were on the stream meeting.
Well,
this isn't a referendum on
I don't know who said that the consultation wouldn't affect the outcome, because of course.
So we don't have to listen to the consultation.
Well, I don't know who's.
That was said in the meeting, which is really concerning. So I think these consultation meetings should be longer. More in depth. 1 hour isn't long enough.
I don't know who said that, sir, because of course.
That's what concerned me, is that this process
well, it would concern me if somebody said that as well.
Because that's a really important thing. If that meeting is live, it's streamed, you have to watch it back, but that's important. We need to look back on that. It's important that this is a fair meeting of consultation. I'll listen to it. And because if there's a referendum, there might be a different outcome on it. But that was said in the meeting.
Okay, that's really helpful. Perhaps at the end you can tell me which meeting, and because we do record them all, and I'll have a look at the webcast. I mean, consultations aren't referendums. Whoever said that is absolutely correct. But of course, and I have made copious notes about what people have been saying, and I think you're the 23rd contributor. So I can assure you, on behalf of the County Council Cabinet, I've been listening very clearly to the consultation, and indeed, of course, it's a statutory duty of us to have due regard to everything that's said, and rest assured we will do when we come to make a decision in May, June of this year, sir.
I really hope you do, because Matt Dormer's Facebook says that these plans have to be delivered on and cannot be changed or stopped, and I'm quoting there from the screenshot I have from your personal Facebook page last night, so I can provide you with that as well if you'd like to go along with the streaming.
You can pick that up. Yeah, pick that up after. But we've got one more question.
Not according to you, sir.
This lady in the middle. If you
Right, I'll try to be brief because I know other people have their hands up longer than me, but it just seems so obvious this is all about money. You don't want to lose the £3 million or whatever it is. But really, as people have said, this library could be the focus of the piazza if that's what you want. We could have cafe services on the ground floor. We could have them opening out, covered onto the square outside. We could have plants and trees and make Redditch an attractive place that people really want to come to. We could open up the palace more, because that's a most beautiful building. I think most people outside Redditch don't even know it exists. Millions were spent on it. It could be made a lovely town, the wonderful town that Rachel claimed it was, but it shouldn't be just another commercial enterprise because of this money that the government's giving away for false use.
Thank you very much. Thank you.